Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token ADA, and we're going to be doing a little bit of dubious price speculation for the short term. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we've done dubious price speculation for many assets before. We've done it for Ethereum, for Bitcoin. And because we've been in a bull market, it's not hard to be right? Because as long as you end the statement, as long as you conclude, and then the price goes up, it tends to work out. But we're going to try to do this from a more data-centric point of view, rather than drawing just lines on a chart. So let's go ahead and jump in. Make sure you subscribe if you guys like the content and want to see more of it. The first thing I want to do is we want to look at its extension, the extension of ADA against its 20-week moving average, and make some comparisons to Ethereum. We've often contended that Ethereum, in terms of volatility, is one market cycle behind Bitcoin. It could stand to reason that perhaps Cardano is one market cycle behind Ethereum. Now, at the end of the day, even if these are one market cycle behind, I would expect diminishing returns because their market caps are much higher than they were 5 years ago. So it does take exponentially more volume to move these coins. To some degree, though, there is exponentially more volume coming into the space. With that said, I do not anticipate ADA, outperforming Ethereum's 2015 to 2018 run, but we can use it as a guide to figure out what might be theoretically possible in the short term. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the 20-week moving average. And we've looked at the 20-week moving average a lot for several different assets. And we're going to look at the extension from the 20 weeks. So we're just going to take a measured move here and see that right now ADA is a modest 220%, 227% above its 20-week moving average. Now, yes, that is a significant amount of space between the current price and the 20-week moving average of ADA. We've seen that it likes to hold support there recently. One of the reasons we use the 20-week moving average is because we know that for other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, the 20-week moving average can often be an area of support in a bull market. Okay, in a bull market, the 20-week moving average is often an area of support. In a bear market, it's an area of resistance, and in an accumulation phase, we just fluctuate above and below it while people accumulate and gear up for the next run. So this is why we're looking at the 20-week moving average in case you're new to the channel. Now, 227% extended from the 20-week is a fair amount, but what about Ethereum? Has Ethereum done stuff like that? Let's take a look. If you go back to the last cycle and you go to, say, the short-term peak in March of 2016, we can see and note that we are coming up on March of 2021. I don't know if there's going to be some history repeating here, but note that Ethereum reached 339% above its 20-week moving average, came back down to basically test the bull market support band, which is a combination of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA, and then it actually went back up and put in a higher high. So, however, this high that came in June, between that high and the high we had in March, there was a modest 52% retracement, okay? And then we had another extension well above. Now, what is, as we showed, if the extension above the 20-week here is approximately, let's say 360, 370% or so, what was the 20-week moving average at the time? And let's actually zoom in so we can get this as exact as possible, so we're not making any random guesses. You can see that on this candle, if we go 1 week before, the 20-week moving average was even much further down. So let's take it from there and go up to the top of the wick. So we're looking at about a 400% extension from the 20-week at the local top. We know we put in a higher high later on, but let's focus on this because, of course, no one really wants to live through a 50% retracement if they can help it. Again, none of this is financial advice. This was a 412% move, which again is a 5x, right? If a 100% move is a 2x, then a 400% move is a 5x. And you can verify that here by seeing the price was around $3 and it peaked at around $15. That was a 5x. Now, if you go back to the ADA USD valuation, currently the 20-week moving average is at about a modest 34 cents. and our current price is at $1.12. So if we were to take $1.12 and divide it by 34 cents, we should get about 3 point something, 3.3. So we can see that we're already extended by about 3.3, noting again that back in the first quarter of 2016, Ethereum reached an extension of 5x. Okay, now you might say, well, does that cap Ethereum, or does that cap ADA's short-term prospects at 5x? Well, if you were to go 5x up from 34 cents, we would be looking at, I mean, we're going to be getting close to $2, right? Not quite, but close to $2. So that would be $1.70. Okay, now this is as far Ethereum got extended from its 20-week moving average, but hold up a second. This is not entirely accurate. It's not entirely accurate to say that if it reached $1.70, it would be the same level of extended as Ethereum was before it reached a 50% pullback, because we know that this depends on the 20-week moving average, which is a moving target. So today, this week, the 20-week moving average is at 34 cents. But last week, it was at 30 cents. And the week before that, it was at 25 cents or 26 cents. So it stands to reason that if we were to just say extend this out a couple weeks and say we had, we extended it out maybe 3 weeks, the 20-week moving average could in fact be at 50 cents for all we know. And if we reach an extension from the 20-week of 5x, which is what Ethereum did back in early 2016, then that would put ADA at 250. Now, you might want to assume that it won't get as extended as Ethereum did back then, again, because the market capitalizations are much higher, and it will take exponentially more volume to move it, okay? But this does show that seemingly a $2 ADA is not out of the question in the short term, okay? Again, it's not financial advice, and there's no free lunch here, right? There's no guarantees as to what will happen. A lot of this will just simply depend on if Bitcoin stabilizes here, like hopefully it will. And if it does, then I think ADA is going to probably push towards $1.40, $1.38 or so, and go into price discovery mode. You might say, well, why that level? Because that was the prior all-time high from January of 2018. So when you look at it in terms of the extension from the 20-week moving average, and we look at what Ethereum was previously capable of, we can see that a 5x was possible back then. Maybe you want to not assume it will reach that same level of extension. Now, the good thing, to some degree, is that time is on our side. If we just slowly trend up, which you could argue we're not really slowly trending up right now, but if we sort of just say stay at $1.12, and then a week later we're at $1.15, and then another week later we're at $1.20, and we continue to slowly and methodically move up, then it allows people to continue moving in without hopefully any major correction before a manic bubble, and it goes up a lot more potentially. And if that happens, if it's a slower move up, then what does it allow? It allows for the 20-week moving average to slowly move up as well, and we're measuring it from our extension from the 20-week moving average. So hopefully that makes sense. Now we're going to look at it with ADA's respect to Ethereum. So we've said many times, if you guys follow this channel, and by the way, subscribe. If you guys are enjoying the show, you want to see more of this sort of data-centric viewpoint, subscribe to the channel so you can get access to all this information in the future, and make sure you turn on the notifications, give the video a thumbs up. Okay, so make sure you do that. I would appreciate it for everyone to subscribe, and let's go for 150,000 subscribers. Now, we've looked at this chart many times, and we've said before, we've had 3 local peaks of the ADA Ethereum valuation, but I always contended that this time, if we're able to break this area, these would be the market conditions that would allow for it, because these are similar market conditions that we had in January of 2018 as today, and we've definitively broken it, right? We can look at this and say, well, we definitively broke this prior resistance level that ADA has had against Ethereum for the last 3 years, right? We have not broken through this level for 3 years, more or less. And here we are breaking through it again. Now, the key area to look for would be, well, how high did it go? Well, you can see, we're not going to go back over here on November because this was when it launched, but when it had this amazing rally, it went all the way up to this level right here. And from the current ADA Ether valuation, that would correspond to another 100% move. So if the valuation of ADA were to go up 2x and Ethereum's valuation stayed constant, then the ADA Ether valuation would go back to the same level it was in January of 2018. Now, what does that mean? Well, the current ADA valuation is $1.12. So if it were to double up, that would put it at 224. But again, that's contingent on Ethereum staying constant, which it likely won't, right? Ethereum, if Bitcoin stays somewhat constant, Ethereum will likely have days here and there where it makes, where it has some rallies. So assuming that Ethereum's valuation increases marginally over the next few days or weeks, then even a 2x in the valuation of ADA might not even get it to this level if the Ether valuation is going up. Does that make sense? So that could imply, yet again, over a $2 ADA is theoretically on the cards in the short term if the catalyst is set and remains and Bitcoin does not go back into price discovery mode above 58K, and as long as it does not capitulate down to, say, the 20-week moving average or the 50-day moving average, or it doesn't, we don't want it to break the 20-day, right? We don't want it to break the 20-day moving average, as we have been discussing. A nice little bounce off the 20-day moving average will allow altcoins to rally, and we've barely gotten a bounce at this point, right? I mean, we have bounced a little bit, and you can see that it bounced basically right off the 20-day moving average. But it's my opinion that the reason ADA isn't even going more crazy right now, where it's going up quicker, is because it's still relatively close to the 20-day. And if we break through the 20-day, then people will probably be looking for the 50-day moving average as an area of support, maybe 42K, which was the prior top. So if you go look at Bitcoin and you say, okay, well, 42K was the prior top. Also, you have to consider that it's possible that if we do break down below 42 or down below the 20-day moving average, by the time we get to the 50-day, it could correspond to $52,000. You can see it's increasing relatively quickly. It's increasing by about $100 a day or so. Let's see, like 40. Let's just get that right, so I'm not making stuff up. So you can see it's currently at almost 40.9K. And yesterday it was 40.576. So it's actually moving up by a couple $100 a day or more. So it's possible that if we do break it, we've had these types of moves before, a bounce and then a fall below, and then we regroup and carry higher. And then we also had a similar move here, but we didn't go down to the 50-day. We bounced and then fell below, and then we regrouped and carried higher. So if Bitcoin were to do something like that, and it bounced, and then we fell below, and then we had to regroup and go higher, by the time it reaches that level, it could be at 42K, which was the prior local top of this bubble, or this short-term move. So, I'm going back to ADA Ether. This is what I'm looking for. You guys know it. We've been talking about it on the channel for years to go back up to these levels. This would represent another 100% move, which somewhat seems more attainable than it did a year ago when it would have represented a 600% move. Okay? So, people like to say things like, it's not possible. You have no idea what's possible. We have come a long way so far. Momentum is on our side. It will change at some point, but it doesn't look to be changing just yet. Let's also look at the ADA Bitcoin valuation. Who would we be if we didn't at least look at that? Now, we've also moved past this milestone, which was this local bottom here. We've definitively moved past it. And as we showed the other day, our current valuation is around 2,000 Satoshis, which corresponds to this level. You can see we've moved up over the last few days in terms of the Bitcoin valuation, because a few days ago we were actually right here. Now we're moving up. If we break above this level, we're sort of in no man's land in terms of historical moves, and if we go back up to the next one, it would correspond to a 90% move against Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's valuation stayed constant and ADA's valuation went up about 90%, that would get us to this level, which again corresponds to approximately a $2 ADA. If we moved up even higher and went up to some of these insane valuations over here, let's just not even go to the wicks, let's go to the top of the candles, we would be looking from the current price against Bitcoin, we might be looking at a 168% move. If we go to this or the wick, it might be a 206% move. This one all the way up here would be 288, but this one would be another 200% move. Now, that does not definitively mean that if ADA were to go to that level that Bitcoin is also doing well, right? It could imply that Bitcoin has cooled off significantly, which I'm not saying it would. So even a scenario where Bitcoin drops back to 40K or something, ADA could still go back to this level and it would not represent a 200% move from the current valuation. It would just represent a 200% move against Bitcoin's valuation. Okay, so we've sort of covered a lot here. I also want to show the bull market support band for ADA Bitcoin. We are above it, and getting above it a lot of times can lead to fairly nice moves. It doesn't always. Here is a fairly nice move. This one was about 200% once we broke it. So far, this was a bit about 170, 180%. So breaking above has historically led to good moves. Here was one where it was more or less a fake out. So things are looking good for ADA. The momentum is there, right? The narrative is there. We've always talked about the narrative. ADA has always been. If you guys look at the channel, you go back to 2019, you'll find videos where I said back then, ADA is my primary hedge against Ethereum, because the gas fees will go up, the narrative will be there, people will look for alternatives. It doesn't mean Ethereum's going anywhere, because I don't think it is, but the narrative will be there, and the narrative is what matters. Okay, that's what matters. If you look at the ADA Ether valuation, by the way, if you look at the bull market support band, we're doing quite well. Okay, we're well above it at the current time. In fact, we are from breaking it, I should say, from when we broke it, we're about 166% above it. From this time when we broke it, we went up about 140%. So it looks like ADA is about to go to, yeah, there it is, 70,000. So we're going to keep an eye on ADA. If you guys like the content and want more of it, we also have the premium list. You can check out the Altcoin season sale in the description below. So make sure you guys check it out if you want access to weekly reports, weekly videos, the trading view indicators, the risk dashboard, the Telegram alerts channel where I give alerts on what I'm doing and how I'm navigating these markets, the Telegram chat room, and more. Check it out. You can find a link to the Altcoin season sale in the description below, and you can lock in the lower rate if you're looking for some guidance there. Subscribe to the channel. At the very least, would appreciate you subscribing. Let's go for 150,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up. Turn on your notifications. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see where ADA takes us. I'll see you next time. Bye.